All right, peace and much love. Zin Uru here. Welcome to the latest installment of Message from the Minista. This week's message from the Minista is titled Soul Force. Soul Force. I want to welcome y'all here. Thank you all for being here. We say this every week. There is no such thing as time and space in the spirit. And so that means no matter where you're at on earth, or in earth more accurately, across all time, across all so-called space, wherever you're at or whatever time it is, we're all here together in oneness and in spirit. And I want to welcome you all here. And specifically, how we're able to navigate through the spirit is this soul body that we're here together in our soul bodies. And our soul is a resonance. There's a resonance to soul. Soul is a sound. They say that. I've heard different belief systems or different philosophies of. Some say the heart is the seat of the soul. Others say that the mind, or the third eye, the mind is the center of the soul. And I was thinking, even the solar plexus, I would say, is almost the center of the soul. Solar plexus, solar, soul. Soul is sun in Espanol, in Spanish. And if there's this soul force right here, this solar plex chakra is very interesting because it's our emotional center. It's like our. Some people call it a gut feeling. The gut goes down a little bit lower. Some people call it an intuitive feeling. But I've noticed over the years that a lot of psychic abilities that I've experienced are felt vibes. Somebody's aura, somebody's vibe, the vibe somebody's putting off is coming through the solar plexus. And I thought it was very interesting. I think, if our third eye is our third eye, then maybe the solar plexus is our third ear in that way, because the solar plexus is feeling and hearing something beyond what the brain or the ears are processing, And the heart hears, but the heart is like a very interesting energy, being of us, part of us, because the heart feels things, but the heart also wants to save and rescue things and help and be of assistance. And so I found, and I'm speaking from my own experience, that, yes, let the heart lead, because compassion and things like that are very important. But I think the heart not only needs to listen to the mind, but also needs to listen to the solar plexus, needs to listen, and the gut, the root, the gut. You're just like, oh, something's just not right about this. But you feel it like right here in the solar plexus, like comes up at the root, and it just kind of sits there. And the heart can be fooled. I think all the senses can be fooled on that level. But, the heart can see somebody in pain or suffering and want to join in on that pain and suffering, to the point where it could even be a detriment to not only the person who's, the one doing the assistance, but it can also enable that person who's needing the assistance. So the heart, the heart requires divine wisdom and guidance and truth. If heart is love, then heart requires truth even for its survival. And that's what we're talking about today with Soul Force. We're talking about survival, spiritual survival. I'll put it up here, John Trudell, where he said, be careful with your soul, because we're in the place where souls get eaten. I'll put the exact quote up here. But it's very deep to think about, because even though that's saying spirit, we're our spirit is like feeling itself, and its first body is like this soul body, this, like, even before the energetic body, it's this like soul body that we inhabit, and that's really what we want to protect, because the soul, can get damaged. I think that's where our innocence was located when we were children, before our innocence was, taken from us. A lot of people, I would say, I don't really know if you can exist in earth and not have had your innocence taken as a child. And what I mean by that is innocence, just the innocence of our soul, of our energy. We, as children, we come in and we want to play and create and love and do all these wonderful things in earth. but then all of a sudden we're either, we just witness a lot of tragedy around us. We witness like extreme anger. Some of us are abused as children. Some of us grow up in like very violent environments, poverty-stricken. Kids whose family members doing something to them. Kids get sick and the brother or sister dies. There's just so many things that happen to us when we're young. We have to kind of shell up. We have to kind of go within ourselves for survival, because our happiness and our joy seems to be, as a child, almost an offense to the adult world around us. And the reason I say this is because, I'm bringing this up is because, first of all, most of us have experienced, if not all of us have experienced that to some degree or another. But also as spiritual children in earth, experiencing the world around us. There's a certain innocence to our spirituality when we wake up in the morning and we feel gratitude to the Creator. We thank God for the breath of life. We come in with the intention to make the world a brighter place, to spread the light, to spread the love, to share the love, to be the love in our environment. We learned that, we might be taken advantage of. People take advantage of our good nature all the time. We read this last week from the third overstanding, the divine performance at the end, the closing. And people want to take advantage of our good nature and our goodwill and our good heart and our spiritual nature and our spirit force, our soul force that we're putting out in the world. And, that's what we signed up for as children of light. It's like, that's the story of the Christ, where the Christ is the light that was, God sacrificed the light. God sacrifices us as the light of our world, puts us down into this place called earth so that we can raise the frequencies, so that we can help evolve, the earth around us from its state of being. And, 2022, the earth is a dark place. And I used to think, when I was growing up, it was a dark place. But I'm just like, wow, man. And by dark, I don't mean dark. I mean, let's say dark's not the right word. I'm getting away from that symbol, because dark is beautiful. Dark is wonderful. The dark is what we're going to read tonight in the Darkment in the Gospel of Hip Hop. So let's say, just say evil, somehow, the colonizers associated the word dark or darkness with evil, and that's a fallacy of thinking. An uninstitutionalized, uncolonized, free mind understands like this shirt, like the blackness of this shirt is beautiful, and all colors, everything. The white light is beautiful, yellow, green, pink, purple, blue, orange, like all these colors are. There's no color or sight or sound that's evil in and of itself. So somehow the colonizer, especially the white colonizer, has convinced people that darker skin is evil and lighter skin is good. That's a lie. It's a lie. We all know that's a lie. And what it does is it divides people. And it's got everybody kind of messed up in their head, because in old movies, the villain would wear black and the hero would wear white, and it's just all this lie in our thinking. So what happens is people associate evil with darkness, and then it creates this fallacy of thinking where people don't actually see evil for what evil is. They don't see evil for what evil is, because the lie is that evil is darkness and evil is this and evil is that, when the truth is evil is the actions of human beings. That's the evil, regardless of what color, what tone, what symbols, whatever it is. People do that all the time. And so we come in this world as the light, as the light in the dark, okay? But as the light, we come in as truth. We come in as love. We come in as goodness. That's what our soul is. That's what we experience as children. All children experience this. But then this evil around us, and let's put a disclaimer out there too with darkness, and with darkness is darkness of night, with the absence of a physical light that we're talking about. people can hide their intentions in the darkness, okay? But, you know, a murder could be easier done in the dark because people wouldn't see, because people can't see with their two eyes as well in the dark. But same thing in the darkness now, in the darkness, and this is where soul comes in, is like the most intimate, beautiful times happen in the darkness, you know? The most, between a couple, you know? Their most intimate times can be in the darkness. Friendship, the most empathetic times, but the most intimate times can be driving late at night in a dark car, you know, where it's dark all around. So some of the most beautiful, if not the most beautiful experiences internally happen in the dark as well. When it's meditation time and in the dark, some of the most beautiful things happen there. So darkness itself isn't good or evil. It's just a place. And I do feel that light is like that too, but it's just harder for evil to hide in the light. So evil can't, you know, evil can mask his light and say, look at me, I'm the light. But it's doing all this dark shit, but sooner or later it's going to be found out. So what does that mean with our soul force? Well, our soul force, there's this energy that exists, and you know, it's unseen. It's unseen by the light of the world, or the earth, you know, the lights of the earth. But we put out this energetic light, and there's these energies that come to, you know, want to take that light from us. An empath, if you're an empath, you'll experience that with narcissistic energy. You know, I used to think it was something wrong with me, where I would just meet certain people, and they might be saying all the right things, they might be looking the right way, they might be, you know, doing all the right actions, but I would feel like this just kind of like alarm here in my solar plexus. I would feel this kind of just like something's off with this person. I don't know what it is though. And I used to think, oh, that must be me. I must be judging this person. I must feel insecure. I must be jealous. I must be this, that, or the other. I would be thinking that in my mind, and then trying to fix that, but that feeling wouldn't go away. So it would cause me depression, and I would give my power to those people. And then I realized over time that, like, yo, let me start trusting my gut instinct. Let me start trusting that solar plexus instinct. That soul sight, that soul energy, that soul force that's feeling into this environment. It doesn't have to be a person. It can be an environment. It can be a situation where all of a sudden this is going off. The spidey senses, not maybe up here, but the solar plexus is like feeling it. And once I started trusting that more and more, as I began to trust that more and more, I started valuing the feeling of not tuning into unhealthy environments, not tuning into negativity, not tuning into that energy. And what a liberating experience that is. What a liberating experience that truly is. Because, you know, this is where our word comes from. Like, whoa, you know, this is something, this is where our vibrational frequency that we're putting out in earth is coming from. And this is where like things like, you know, I don't want to say the law of attraction, but this is where, you know, the ideas flow through us better and more clearly. This is where opportunities come through us more clearly. This is where the balance is just restored without very much effort on our part. You know, this is where we get the affirmations from the universe from, that we're on the right path. That kind of language, when our solar plexus is clear and our energy is running smooth, because we're in an environment that enriches and an environment that allows that soul force to be, then life itself is the miracle. And we've got to create that environment for ourselves, regardless of what our outer circumstances may be saying. So it's not always easy. You know, sometimes we have to say something when we don't want to. Sometimes we got to be quiet when we don't want to. You know, sometimes we have to walk away from things that we may enjoy. Sometimes we may have to do something that we don't enjoy. We may have to live somewhere temporarily that we don't want to live. We might have to experience like some darkness and some hardship. But, you know, once again, what is this darkness or hardship? What is this thing that we're experiencing, if not the essence of our light, the essence of our spirit, the essence of our soul force, where we are at. Once again, going back to the analogy that the most intimate times come when the absence of light in the darkness. With that meditation and that prayer, the enlightenment comes in darkness. It can come when you're out driving around in the sunshine, no doubt. But in the darkness, oh man, that meditative time and that alone time and that quiet time, man, that's where the enlightenment comes. So let's adjust also our sight of what we're calling the light. You know, these two lights that are on me right now, we call that light, but that's not even the spiritual light that we're talking about. That's electricity, that's light, that's like its own little fire. It's amazing, it's wonderful. You know, the sunlight, yeah, that's giving life and life force and energy. And the moonlight and the starlight, we call that light. But now what we're talking about is us as light, as the light of eternal mind, the light of eternal being, you know, this word of light. And so we find ourselves as spirit beings, on the one hand, saying, yo, God has sacrificed me for this world. I'm the light of my world. I come in here. I'm here to help. You know, this is, and let's draw the parallel now with this in hip hop, because I'm talking to hip hoppers out there, right? But we're also experiencing like the world and the chaos of the seeming chaos of the world, the seeming, fears and, the manipulations and the pollutions and the lies and all the things that are the world. We see all that. And we as spirit beings are walking in this balance, literally, it's not symbolic, between two worlds, okay? But we are, us as the wholeness, we are only experiencing the one world, the one earth as it's presenting itself to us. But boy, is there a place where this evil energy, this testing energy, these demonic energy, these lusts, these fears, these doubts, these anxieties, all of this tries to creep in, and this hatred, ignorance, and all this tries to creep into us, and it's really convincing, right? It really wants a piece of that light. It really wants a piece of that soul. And wow, and they know it. They know it. Like the advertising is meant to get a little piece of a human soul. The lies of the world is to get a little piece of that human soul. What does it gain a man? What does it profit a man to gain a piece of the world and lose his soul? A piece of the world, a little piece of the world, not the world. I read that today, and it was, oh no, I take that back. Wow, I extrapolated my own mind there. Yeah, that's interesting. Wow, okay, so what does it profit a man to gain the whole world but lose his soul, okay? And I guess where my mind was going with that earlier was, I say, a piece of the world is that people are even willing to sell their souls for just a little piece of the world, a little piece of it. And what Jesus is saying there is, what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? Okay? So that's even deeper, because the whole world, like how many people who have sold their soul get the whole world? Zero. It never happens. So it doesn't even profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul, let alone a piece of the world, a little piece. Let me sell, guys, dudes are out there, women too, out there, selling their soul force, their soul energy for a little piece of the world, a little piece of the world's pleasures, and a little piece of the world's pie, and a little piece of the world's fame, and a little piece of the world's notoriety, and a little piece of the world's lies, and a little piece of the world's illusions. So those little pieces start adding up. But even all of them added up together doesn't create the whole world. Nobody could even have the whole world, because it's been so pieced out, the people selling their souls for just a little piece of it. So even the whole world, if it was possible, what would it profit a man to gain all of it and lose his soul? You know? None of it comes with us when we leave. We came in with nothing, we leave with nothing. That's it. And O ye of little faith, who need all the things of the world, and they want to say it's your spirit that is giving you all these gifts, knowing full well that some of the most evil things done in earth have been done by the most wealthy. And I'm not just talking about the colonizer, I'm talking about the wealthy who sell out to the colonizer as well for a little piece of the world. European ancestors did it. The fiefdoms, the kingdoms, the small tribes. It's always those ones who had the most to lose. They had the most in the world. They had the most to lose. And so they sold out the quickest. They sold the soul the quickest for the little piece of the world. What does it profit a man to gain the whole world but lose his soul? And that's part of the debate right there. Does everybody have a soul? Well, according to Jesus, a man can lose his soul. A woman can lose their soul. So, if someone can lose their soul, where does that soul go? Where is it lost to? What happens to it? And how valuable is that soul? Because it's not even a man's time. It's not even a man's time that is the valuable thing to the world. It's the soul. And why is that? You know, how valuable is the soul of, just think of somebody rich and powerful who sold out, who sold their soul to the devil, so to speak. How valuable was that soul? What did they get in return for that soul? What piece of the world did they get for that soul? What does that say about the soul and the soul's value? It means if the richest dude that you could think of who sold their soul, I'm not saying everybody who was rich sold their soul. Don't get me wrong here. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying is that we know that happens. And so what is that value? So if we have our soul, we have the most valuable thing in earth is our soul, according to them. The ones who are paying everybody to get their soul. So, but we are their value system. Their value system values the soul the most of a man. The most valuable thing we have is our soul force, our spirit. That's the most valuable thing we are, monetarily in their world. But they try to pretend it doesn't exist. They try and call it other things. Trick people into saying you don't have a soul, but since you don't have a soul, I want that energy that we would normally call a soul. I want that. I want all that. I want your childhood. I want your innocence. I want your perfection. That's what they're doing. They're trying to channel all the energy by saying it doesn't exist. And then the person, what happens to people out there is they're giving their soul force and energy because they don't even believe that there is a soul or even have a soul, or if they do, it's some abstract thing, giving that soul force and that soul energy while they're being told they don't have a soul, and then they're like, they don't have a soul. See the trickery there? If I took this shirt off, I gave it to somebody, I wouldn't have a shirt. I wouldn't have this shirt anymore. I would have given it to somebody else. Does that mean the shirt doesn't exist? Where I just walk around, somebody says, Zin, why you don't have a shirt on? I said, shirts don't exist. I don't have a shirt. That would sound absurd. What happened to your shirt? oh man, it doesn't exist, but I had it and I thought it was cool, but somebody gave me $1 for it, and now I got this dollar, but I had a $50 billion shirt, but they gave me $1 for this, this priceless thing, the most valuable thing on earth, the soul. Let's give you $1, $10 an hour, whatever it is for the soul. What's the price that we put on our soul? What is the price that we put on our soul? What are we willing to do to sell out our soul? What are we willing to not do to sell out our soul? It's not just about what people do, it's what they don't do. It's what they don't say, where the real soul gets sold out. Soul, sold. Wow. Soul, sold. Sold. Look at that. You don't think that there's a monetary value on your soul? Why does the word sold have the word soul in it? I'm playing games, my nobility. We can't take the most sacred thing and gift of creation and squander it away because the world fails to recognize it, because the world wants to eat it and feed off of it and tell us that it's unvaluable and it doesn't mean anything, and that their validation and its validation and all of its shiny little toys and all of its like cool little clubs that you can be a part of. Come join our club. Come join our club, our little secret society. Come do this. Oh, we'll shake hands and glad hands and we'll do a big circle jerk and you'll get whatever you wanted. Just sell us your soul. Hip hop, we can't be about that. We can't go in that direction, hip hop, because I'll tell you what, there will never be hip hop without a soul. Hip hop is soul force. Soul sonic force. Hip hop is a soul sonic force. And well, you know the difference between a rapper and MC? Soul. Straight up, soul. Between a great artist and a commercial artist, soul. Now, a great artist like Prince or KRS-One or Bob Marley, or there can be a crossover from those who have soul and it's in the industry. But the majority of the industry, especially nowadays, is promoting an idea of soullessness. Sell your soul for the state. Sell your soul for the system. Sell your no creativity. Create debauchery amongst the youth. But then all of a sudden we have this actual soul force. We have this actual truth within us. We have this actual being, this actual energy that they want to take. And we say, no, enough is enough. This is our soul force. And what was soul force happening? Psst, bombing on the trains, making beautiful colored murals on the trains. Beep, 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 making dance music. Bam, 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 at break beats. Bringing a community, drawing community together. Having ciphers of philosophy. The MC speaking reality into existence. An economy's getting created. Monies are getting exchanged. People are judging each other by their content of their character, of the skill. What skill do you bring to the table? What can you actually do? What can you actually say? And what I love about hip hop as an MC, as a minister, is it gives me a place and a space for my soul to express. Because when we express our soul, when we express our light, people get triggered by that. People get offended by that. People want to argue. People want to douse that flame. And the closer you get to it, the less you want it, the more you express it. You just don't want to even have to be around people that was always trying to douse your flame, always trying to put you down energetically. Shh, be quiet. Shh, 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 shh. Oh, you sound all happy over there. Shh, no happiness around here. Shh, always shh, 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 shh. That's a white folk thing. I don't know how many times I've been shushed by white people. It's just like I want to smack the shush out of them sometimes. Just shh, 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 shh. Always shh, 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 shh. Don't be too loud. It's ridiculous. But you want to express that soul force and that soul energy, people ain't having it. But when you grab it and you express it on the mic, people's having it. And you grab it, and start expressing it up here on the camera, through ministry, archive, school, or society. You start expressing it with your spray paint can. Oh, that's when people are having it. When you put the soul into the art, that's when people want the art. That's when people appreciate the art. That's how the art, like art with soul is the most vibrant, beautiful, creative, genius art there is, because it's got soul. Soul force, soul music. All the greatness has soul. James Brown has soul. The godfather of soul, James Brown, the godfather of hip hop. You know, James Brown was an entrepreneur. James Brown was an MC. James Brown was a b-boy. James Brown was a DJ. You know, James Brown, wow, James Brown, the godfather of soul. Aretha Franklin, the queen of soul. R-E-S-P-E-C-T. Find out what it means to me. Yo, respect. Find out what that means to me. As a soul force, the queen of soul is saying, respect. Find out what that means to me. You know? Soul force. And with that soul comes that funk, comes that meaning, comes that, like, the earth is a funky place. And the colonizer tries to get away from the funk. And they create disease by trying to get away from the funk. Kids stop eating dirt, and then they get sick all the time. Always washing all the germs off. Wash all the germs off so the immune system never even learns about its environment. So every little thing in that kid's environment becomes scary and a hazard. You know? Germaphobes. And but you go outside and the earth is a little wet and damp and a little muddy and your feet are bare. And it's like, oh no, I can't get mud on my feet. That's evil. That's bad, that's wrong. But you go out and you put your feet in the mud, and it's like, oh wow, electromagnetic current energy going up, like the clay of the body is mixing with the clay of the earth. We are clay, we are mud. That's what we are. We're mud, you know, water and dirt. That's what we are made of. We're made of the earth. So when we connect with the earth, we get all kind of like the earth knowing more about our body than we do. Imagine that. The earth knows, it's like infinite. Like the earth knows your body better than you do. The earth knows my body better than I do. And what is it that we connect to the earth with? Our feet. But I'm standing here with, rubber Nikes on, rubber, which actually acts as a barrier for electromagnetic energy can't get through rubber. Electricity can't get through rubber. Electromagnetic energy doesn't go through rubber. On this plastic, fake-looking wood floor. Thank you, I appreciate your shoes. I appreciate all this. I understand where I am and what I'm going through right now, but I'm just saying, let's be real here. So automatically we're in a situation where literally our communication with Earth is getting cut off by the one thing that can cut it off. That's not by accident. That's not by accident. We could be walking around with like a hemp compound on our feet that absorbs electromagnetic energy, amplifies electromagnetic energy. We could be walking around on our floors instead of having floors. We could be having all kinds of different things, all kinds of different, there's all these different, just regular wood floor. Even concrete's better than this plastic. Electromagnetic energy, though, the dirt, the mud of the earth up in our feet. That's soul force. That's the funk that comes with the soul. Our soul is here in the funk. And not only do they convince us that the soul is bad, but then the funk is bad too. And the funk needs to be watered down, and the funk needs to be, But like you go out on the earth, it smells funky. Like it just rained the other day, hot summer day, right? Muggy. Then just a storm came in. And I went out the next morning when the sun was out and it was just evaporating everything. It was humid outside. And you just smell the lawn and the trees and the dirt and the rain and the water. And you could smell the funk of the earth. I was sitting underneath the tree meditating, and there's this topsoil and dirt, and it's just just filling up the lungs, the funk of the earth, that smell of the earth. And that's what we come out of. And we come out of that. Like we're literally, when we're born from our mother, we're born between piss and shit. Like literally. Our mom poops here, pees here, and births us here. And we're covered in all kind of funk. And then they want to wash the funk off, throw you under some halogen lights, burn your retinas, jab you with a fucking bunch of shit, keep you from your mother's warm embrace, all of that shit. Like I know most births ain't done like that now, but like yo, man, like that shit's wild, right? Take us out of the funk as soon as we can. Take us out of our earth nature as soon as we can. Why? Because everything the earth does is bad in their world. Because what they're doing is bad to the earth. That's why they want us. It's the same thing with the soul. They convince us that the earth ain't shit. No, the earth is shit. The whole thing's made of shit. It's all decomposing shit everywhere. We're made to think that the earth ain't valuable and that we don't have a soul, so that they might as well govern the earth and govern our soul because there's no value there, but they're just such good people, they're just going to take care of something that's unvaluable? You see the lie that's really happening here. You see that lie that's really happening there. And then they think they tell us the earth has no value while they extort all the value of the earth. They tell us we have no soul while they extort all the value out of our souls. And oh, Lord, if we don't already know, what are they most afraid of? It's just us waking up to our soul force. That's it. Everything changes. That's it. We open up to the soul force. We resonate with our soul. We don't sell our soul out. We inspire others not to sell our soul out. The 100 monkey effect. All of a sudden, we just start waking up. The tide is shifted, everything is changed, everything is tuned back in to reality and to creation. Yo, hip-hop, this is what we are, this is what we're about, this is what we're supposed to be doing. This is why we were created. The product of that is our music. The product of that is our books, is our manuals, is our workbooks, is our paintings, is our philosophies. That's the product of it. That's like the soul energy that's like written down and zapped out in another form. And that's valuable too. But what's more valuable? What's coming out of it or what's generating it? You know? Is it the goose? Is it the golden eggs coming from the goose that laid the golden eggs? Or the goose? The goose that's lays, it just lays more golden eggs. So my nobility, like that's our value whenever we're asking each other every week, what's our value? What's our value? That's our value right there, the most priceless thing there is on earth according to them, which we already know according to God is our soul. They're in agreement with God that the soul is the most valuable thing on earth. In earth is the soul. So who are we listening to? Are we listening to them or are we listening to God? And be truthful. Like, you can't lie to God. We can't go before God and lie. God already knows. God's be like, you lying, I know it. Nope, I know it. You know, like there's no lying before God. So we don't need to lie to God. Say, God, I feel like I'm selling on my soul right now. I feel like my soul is just being depleted right now in this situation. How can I protect my soul, God? How can I be in service of you while still protecting my soul, God? What a great question. How can we remain protective of our soul, God, and still be in service to you? That's great. That's what it is for all of us. Because our soul has us in service. Our soul wants us to be in service, but how do we protect our soul while we're in service to others? This is what we call endarkenment in the temple of hip-hop, and we're going to read from that here in a minute. It was something this week, when we read from it, I just wanted to reference this before we read from it, because we find ourselves in situations that may seem hopeless at times. We find ourselves in situations that may just be feeling overwhelming at times. And in that hopelessness and that overwhelming and everything lighter than that, okay? Little feelings of it or overwhelming feelings of it. Those are signals that we are in the right space and time. Because we have to be reminded that within this space, within this darkness, comes the greatest enlightenment. That because I'm going through this thing that seems to be perceived suffering, but I'm enduring through it, I'm building up the muscles that if it ever comes again, it will be a lot easier. Or other situations that aren't quite this hard, just you make easy work of it. It's like lifting weights. Pumping iron, lifting weights, getting them curls up, you get them on strong. Next time you go to pick up your backpack, it just is lighter. Put it on your back. The next time you go to help somebody up, they're just lighter because you put in the work to build up the muscle. Well, that's what the situation that may seem hopeless is. That's what the situation that may seem like overwhelming can feel like. However, this is where the enlightenment comes in. This is the building up the strength. And so that's why those who've gone through hardships and overcome those hardships become guiding lights on earth. Now, the teacher, for example, he overcame the hardship of growing up in the Bronx and then him leaving home to become an MC and then going out homeless and living on the streets of the Bronx and New York. That's why his story is so amazing. That's why his story inspires other people. Because that character that got him through, that helped him overcome, where a lot of other people, a lot of other dudes his age, in his age bracket, and where he grew up didn't make it. So he writes a book, and that's how we glean some wisdom from this master, from this blast master who survived all of that, to make something of himself, to create something of himself and something bigger than himself for our community. But you don't think he had dark times or over times where he felt overwhelmed or times where he felt afraid or felt depressed? Or he was hungry. He was homeless and hungry. He had to fight a dog for food. For real. Have you ever had to fight a dog for food knowing that that's your meal? Our king, Martin Luther King, how many times was he arrested? How many times was his life threatened? Pulled over, harassed, spit upon. Bruce Lee, same story. Think about it, go watch the movie Dragon, the Bruce Lee story. You'll see what he had to overcome. Like family demons. So we're not here with this illusion. I don't teach the illusion of spirituality. I teach real spirituality. That's what comes out of me. That's all I can talk about. That's why I don't fall for all this stuff. And I could easily do it. I know that language. But it makes people uncomfortable. Oh, Zin, you seem so cool, and it seems so this until you really get to know me. You know how I really feel and what I really think. It's real out there. And I'm not going to sugarcoat spirituality and pretend that it's all good all the time and everything's this and that. No, why? Because if you're going through something hard, you're going through a hardship right now, embrace that shit. Embrace it. It's not forever. That's not forever. Everything, like literally everything that we experience in earth is temporary. But what matters the most is after you get through it, who are you when you get to the other side? Who are we when we get to the other side of the hardship? Who are we when we get through to the other side of the difficult situation? Who are we when we get to the other side of the trial, of the tribulation? Who are we when we get to the other side of that? That's what our soul force is. That's where our soul force carries it to. And so now we have this value This thing that is so valuable, and we know that we value it so much, let's just keep it protected here. Let's just keep it in this environment, in this place, in this space right now. I don't have to give this out to everybody. After years and years and years of giving it out to everybody, when all of it was taken away from me, nobody who I gave it out to, like giving out my energy and my time and my money, I don't know how many thousands and thousands of dollars I gave to people in need when I was in need. I don't know how many cars and things I'd given out. Like I gave cars to people. And when I didn't have no money for that. I had a family, afford to feed, but somehow I always had something gift to come through. I just felt compelled to help people. And I don't regret that. However, it taught me a lot when I was the one in need. And there was nobody around. My mom helped. But literally, you find yourself looking back at all those friends you helped and all that. Oh, you're my best buddy. Oh, here, get that extra 6-pack tonight. Or, oh, Zin, can you pick up the tab? And, glad to do it. Glad to do it. Oh, can you call me up? I'm drunk. I know you got to get up early in the morning, but I need you to drive me home. I hit my girl. I beat my girl up tonight. I'm like, what? Yo, just wildness, helping people out. And none of them was there when I hit my space. And you know what? I'm so grateful for that. I am so thankful for that experience because it taught me not only about the nature of others, but about not even about the nature of myself, but about the nature of God. Because I was like, yo, I need help. No answer. God's like, you need help? I'm like, yeah. God's like, you probably ain't going to like what I'm going to say to you. And I was like, okay, God, let me have it. And people don't, I think about like God's like, sometimes like, let's use an extreme example of this one, like the Kung Fu movies, like let's use Kill Bill, Pai Mei, when she goes to climbs the mountain to learn the ultimate form of Kung Fu. And her master, Pai Mei, is up there. And he's teaching her, and he's just so cruel to her. And he's teaching her like she just has to keep hitting this block until her hands are bleeding and bleeding and bleeding until she can do this little punch and break through that block. And he's teaching her this. But then she's buried alive. And she has to use that little punch to punch her way up through her resurrection, has to punch her way up through the dirt to rise again, to be resurrected again. See, but Pai Mei was teaching her, and that's how, you might want to get comfortable with God being a hardcore martial arts instructor who whaps you on the head with a bamboo stick and says, try again. Boom, wrong, try again. Boom, wrong, try again. Oh, you got it right that time. You broke through. You had a breakthrough, I think that's too rough for most people because everybody wants to be glad-handed by God, and then they don't have anything because the storms of life come, or their shelter gets taken down, and they don't have enough strength to swing a hammer after the shelter's been blown over. That's soul force, that's soul power. That's God giving us that soul power, that soul force. Put some force behind our word. Put some force behind our punch. Put some force behind our being. Put some force behind our life. Put some force behind our life. That's what God wants to do. So if you want to complain about your situation, I've been there. I complained about my situation too. Didn't change nothing about it. Situation was still there. Every time I complained about my situation, the situation was still there. I had to get to a space where I just stopped complaining about that situation for me to overcome that situation. Learn, really, it's not even overcoming. It's just persevering through, acquiring the strength and the sight and the enlightenment that comes with that situation. And then you come through empowered. So whatever you're going through right now, embrace it. You're supposed to be there, my nobility. Let's put this up here. This is from Endarkenment in the Gospel of Hip Hop. And let's see, you can turn to page 377, and we're going to be starting on paragraph 108. And 377, 108, in the Gospel of Hip Hop, written by the teacher KRS-One and presented to the Temple of Hip Hop. And we are in the 8th overstanding, endarkenment. And we're going to start with some words of wisdom from Manly P. Hall here. Well, first we start with this words from the teacher here, and then you can see in italics, this is what Manly P. Hall says. This is the teacher first, from the Gospel of Hip Hop. Mastery of spiritual knowledge is found not in what one knows or in what one teaches. Now check this out. It is found in what one does and in how one lives. And this is Manly P. Hall saying this now. No one can actually experience internal illumination and not reveal this enlargement of understanding in daily living. Growth is a positive process and bears witness to itself. We know that improvement is real when it refines and ennobles human character. The lives of mystics prove the victory of internal light over internal darkness. Manly P. Hall. Paragraph 109, know this, just as bats see clearer by natural sonar, this is so deep, and you can feel it in your solar plexus, you can feel it in your root, you can feel it in your heart, you can feel it in your mind, wherever you feel it, okay? Feel it in your soul. Know this, just as bats see clearer by natural sonar, similarly, humans see clearer in spirit, even though we have natural eyes. For it is our natural senses that illuminate and receive light when in use. Light stimulates the ability of the eyes, yet it is the eyes, or worldly sight, that distract the hip-hopper from a life in spirit. Darkness is not the absence of light. It is the presence of a different light, which requires a different kind of sight. True hip-hoppers eventually learn how to switch their sight or withdraw their natural senses at will. Whenever we use our natural senses to either give or receive, we spiritually glow or illuminate. When we illuminate through the use of our natural senses, our very light attracts devils. Consider this. There are two ways in which the enlightened illuminate light. One way is when light is received in the form of health, love, awareness, or wealth. These lesser lights, vibrations, assist the enlightened one while in the world. The other way is when those same lights, vibrations are stored in one's spirit self and then given or illuminated towards others. You see this, my nobility? While you're sitting there in that situation, while we're sitting in that situation, the light we receive is health, love, awareness, and wealth. And they assist us as the enlightened ones in life. But then the other light is that we store that up in our spirit. We store that health, love, awareness, and wealth up in our spirit, ourself, and then we give or illuminate that towards others. And like Manly P. Hall was just saying, that when you experience it, you like it just comes out of you. You have no choice in the matter. It comes out of your words and your actions and your art, all of it. It comes out of us. And this is very important right here. This is why it's highlit. This is the lesson why I wanted to bring this one today. And this right here is key. And this will change perception of reality for anyone with eyes to see and ears to hear. But really, it's the ability to perceive, not just see it, but perceive it, to know it. You will notice, paragraph 112, you will notice that whenever you try to do what is good or achieve what is good, there is always opposition. One of the ways spiritually minded people know that they are blessed is when victory is achieved in the face of adversity. Such victories, however, should mature you from being just spiritually minded to being spiritually active. For the average hip hopper, adversity is the work of devils. But for the teacher, transforming adversity, fear, doubt, disbelief, and temptation into understanding, faith, love, security, courage, and discipline is the work of God. Such victories are almost always won in battle, for such adversity strengthens the spiritual skill of the teacher. For we are never afraid to display high spiritual skill against ignorance and other obstacles and traps of inner city life. Teachers are never afraid to fight. Moving in spirit at the source, in the dark, in chaos, with the natural senses withdrawn, emotionally centered, you cannot even be seen by devils wandering ignorance, because you are emitting no light awareness in the physical world. Your awareness and activity is spiritual with physical results. You see that, my nobility? Let's go back to that. Moving in spirit at the source, in the dark, in chaos, with the natural senses, what? Withdrawn, emotionally centered. See this? Being emotionally centered. You cannot even be seen by devils wandering ignorance because you're emitting no light awareness in the physical world. Your awareness and activity is spiritual with physical results. You deny the value of the physical world. You are not focused upon the physical world. You're not flashing and flossing your light awareness in the physical world. So the people of the physical world, to the people of the physical world, you are incomprehensible, even invisible. For everything is truly everything. And to really comprehend the all of everything, one must comprehend chaos. But such an awareness is not actually chaotic. It only appears chaotic to the intellect because the intellect creates the physical world of rational thought and individual things by denying the true reality of the oneness so that it can focus. However, it can be very uncomfortable and difficult to have your senses continually withdrawn from sense objects while living in the inner city. It is difficult for the compassionate hip hopper not to assist those in need when living in the inner city. But the attuned hip hopper must always remember that people are where they are because of who they are. Say it again. Attuned hip hopper, do not forget, always remember that people are where they are because of who they are. Be careful with whom you choose to help, assist, or support. Sometimes you can make things worse. To remain invisible to devils, jealousy, etc., you cannot receive nor give light, awareness, resources, etc., lest the devils, jealousy, etc., will see you and attack you. It's just like the deer that must go to the lake to drink, sensing that the lion is waiting right there. And let's be real here. This isn't to be afraid of anything. This is awareness, my nobility. There's very much real energy vampires. As symbolic, we call them energy vampires out there who want to suck your energy. It's not to be afraid of that, because when you have awareness of it, they can't suck your energy. If you know that the lion is there drinking water waiting for you, you just wait until he moves. Nature is set up in such a way that your predator will always be waiting at the place that you must go to receive or give nourishment. This means that every time your God must help you or you must help others, devils are attracted to that very situation, for they too are part of the great event. And their adversarial nature actually strengthens the spiritual sight awareness of the teacher. But once they devils realize that they're dealing with the teacher, indeed, they begin running. Again, you will know when you are blessed, when there are oppositions, fears, and or other challenges in the way of achieving your goal or purpose. They are there for you to overcome and learn from. Most opportunity is found in difficulty. Most of the greatest discoveries are found in the darkest of life circumstances. Stay focused upon the ultimate cause, God. not the temporary effects, people, places, things, and circumstances. You see that, my nobility? We stay focused on God. We know that there's all these other things that are temporary happening around us, and they want our attention. They're trying to get our attention. But when we focus on God and we realize that even our adversaries and even an adversarial environment, any of this that's happening to us is actually happening to God, and God's allowing it to happen to us. Why? To strengthen us, to strengthen our spiritual sight, to strengthen our spiritual abilities. However, even in the light, the enlightened are seen, hunted, and randomly attacked by devils. Woo! However, the teacher uses the mind as a weapon against the devils while giving and receiving light in the world. We're gonna read this again next week, my nobility? Are we gonna read this again next week? Because I just dropped something because I'm writing this down. The mind is a weapon. That's next week's message from the Minista. The mind is a weapon. And I'll tell you, our adversaries know that. They use our mind against us. They use our own mind as a weapon against us. That'll be part of next week's talk. Mind as a weapon. However, the teacher uses the mind as a weapon against the devils while giving and receiving light in the world. Armed with an awareness of the truth that is backed up by a consistent character of righteousness, the teacher effortlessly defeats and transforms devils. Who? Wow. There it is. Lesson over, right? The teacher uses the mind as a weapon against the devils while giving and receiving light in the world, armed with an awareness of the truth that is backed up by a consistent character of righteousness. The teacher effortlessly defeats and transforms devils. The attuned hip-hopper prepares ahead of time for encounters with devils. We do not run or hide from circumstances that can do us harm. We prepare for them. Attuned hip-hoppers are never afraid to display their skills and talents in battle. We are already victorious. My nobility, I'll tell you, that is so true. Don't be scared, be prepared. Don't run from the fight, run to the light. The attuned hip-hopper prepares ahead of time for encounters with devils. We do not run or hide from circumstances that can do us harm. We prepare for them. Attuned hip-hoppers are never afraid to display their skills and talents in battle. We are already victorious. The endarkened are not seen by devils because their existence does not always require the light, help, assistance, security of their God. They, the endarkened, have learned to walk in the dark with God without the use of their intellectual abilities. After we attain, and my nobility, check this out. They have learned to walk in the dark. This is a learning process. This is the learning process that we're going through. Now, this was one of the very first lessons. I'll save that story. I'll save that story for closing. But this is one of the first lessons, if not the first lesson, that the teacher taught out of the Gospel of Hip Hop to us in 2005 on the Gospel of Hip Hop tour at 3:33 a.m. After we attain enlightenment, having realized ourselves as spirit beings, on September 3rd at 3:33 a.m., nice. After we attain enlightenment, having realized ourselves as spirit beings, we no longer need the crutch or assistance of a sign, a plan, etc. to guide our intellect and natural senses. At this stage, we walk with or trust our God when we are intellectually blind. Yo, my nobility. It's fun seeing all the license plates. It's fun seeing all the signs from God in our environment. But if we're addicted to that, if we always require that sign, if we always need that, it's a crutch. It can become a crutch for people. I've watched so many people just always needing a sign from God that where it becomes a crutch. God will provide the signs, but if you need them all the time, that's childish. That's immaturity. It's a crutch. Why? Because we don't always need it. We walk with or trust our God when we are intellectually blind. We don't have to always know. We don't have to know everything. In fact, in that unknowing, and we realize there is a great unknowing. There's always an unknown part of life. And once we get comfortable with the unknown, that's where our faith in God is. That's where our confidence in God is. That's why the prophecies are so vague. You think God's just going to write out and spell everything out for us? This is everything that's going to happen to you in life? First of all, life would suck. Just like are you excited about to go see a movie that somebody told you everything that happened? You really want to know the outcome and everything that's going to happen in your life? What's the fun of needing to know that? But a lot of people live like that. They really think, oh, if I work this and I do this, if I plan this, if I make this, if I do this, I will know the outcome of my life. The outcome's never what they expected. Unless they're one with the world and they're just part of the world. But like my nobility, it's the unplanned events. It's the unknown that God, that's where God is, in the unknown. And then the unknown becomes known, and then there's more unknown to know. It's eternal. After we attain enlightenment, having realized ourselves as spirit beings, we no longer need the crutch or assistance of a sign, a plan, etc. to guide our intellect and natural senses. At this stage, we walk with or trust our God when we are intellectually blind. We no longer need to receive or illuminate light in order to see our way in the world. We are no longer afraid of the dark. We are no longer distant from our God. There is nothing to give and nothing to receive in the oneness of our God. We need not ask God for anything when we realize that everything is already available. Here, we pray not for God's light to come to us. Here, we simply exist as the light in the darkness. We are no longer afraid of the dark. We are light. For enlightenment is like a light bulb. Let me read that one again. We need not ask God for anything when we realize that everything is already available. Here, we pray not for God's light to come to us. Here, we simply exist as the light in the darkness. We are no longer afraid of the dark. We are light. I am the light. Paragraph 127. For enlightenment is like a light bulb being turned on in a dark room, just long enough for you to get a glimpse of what is in the room, then the light bulb is turned off again. Having been enlightened helps you to see some of the furniture and items of your room, your environment. Enlightenment also shows you where the windows and doors are in your room, your environment. It literally shows you where life's exits and entrances are. Enlightenment shows you exactly where and who you are in life. With this knowledge, you know how to approach your life and how to escape confusion and unnecessary suffering. Those who have been enlightened are the beneficiaries of being in illuminating situations. However, they do not remain there mentally or spiritually. For the most part, we live in darkness. When God turns the light awareness on in your room life, you will also see where your devil's ignorance are. Likewise, those devils will see you. Like moths attracted to a flame, devils are attracted to enlightened beings. You see that again, my nobility. This may be why you have to put up with so much BS from so many people, because you're an enlightened being and your light attracts them like moths to the flame. You're attracting these devils to you in life because you are the light. For these reasons, as you are studying the way of this gospel, it is not always wise to illuminate yourself by either calling God into your life or expressing the will of your God in your life or even showing the practice of your skills and talents. Don't be a show-off. Sometimes it is best to follow your God's voice in the dark, in secret, avoiding unnecessary challenges. As I've said many times, real bad boys move in silence. For when the light comes on in your room, it is obvious that there are devils in that same room with you. If the light stays on for too long, you can be attacked. The one God turns the light on in your life just at the right time, and for what seems like only a second, you then see the reality of your situation, life, and return to the darkness. It is when God calls you, and in faith, you come without intellectual or rational assistance through the challenges that you are darkened. You are darkened when you have learned to use the purpose that you were born with to survive in the world. intellectually unassisted. Not that you will never need intellectual light, but when your light attracts devils, endarkenment becomes a helpful spiritual alternative. Trust God. God is in the dark, in the chaos, providing light like nourishment, protection, and guidance to the intellect, even when the intellect cannot see or plan its own way. For when you are no longer afraid of the dark, the chaos, and can see and act in the dark, the so-called chaos, you are spiritually mature, you are endarkened. You move in a realm where everything seems to effortlessly happen right on time and just when you need it to. Your only hindrance is worry, which is actually the denial of your God. For when you learn to accept the guidance of that invisible intelligence that guides our direction, even when you are not thinking about it, things just always seem to work in your favor. At this level of consciousness, even when things seem to be going all wrong to your intellect, you are at peace in the knowing that everything is actually working in your favor. Nothing exists outside of God. Now go and kick the devil's ass. And there it is. Word up. Word up. Yo, my nobility. Look at that last line here. Now go and kick the devil's ass. Yo. That's what it is. Just go and kick the ass, you know? What do you got to be afraid of? You've got the most valuable thing ever, your soul. Our soul is the most valuable thing in earth. They know it, we know it, God knows it. Let's just own it now. Let's own our soul. They know it, we know it, we own it. They don't own it. You see it? They can't take it. They cannot take nobody's soul. We have to give it. We have to give it for them to receive it. They can't take it if we're not giving it. And whether we're giving it consciously or unconsciously, it doesn't matter. They can't take somebody's soul. It's like a fail-safe written into the universe, built into the universe. And that's just more proof that adversity is here to strengthen us. It's to strengthen the soul. That's the adversity, is to strengthen us. That world, as evil as it looks at times, it can't take our soul. That's the fail-safe. They can't take our soul. We can only give it to them. So that just means that's proof, that's empirical evidence that with that fail-safe built in, that their purpose isn't to steal our soul or take our soul. Their purpose is to strengthen us to the point where we say, enough is enough. This is my soul. This is my soul force. This is what generates my soul energy. This is who I am. This is the most valuable thing in earth. This is the most valuable thing. And I am that value of which I am. This is not for sale. As a matter of fact, I'm going to put this most valuable thing to use in the world. And it will generate light energy into this world. And this is where endarkenment comes in for the spiritually attuned hip hopper. You ain't always got to be out in the world. Real bad boys move in silence. I know this when you don't go out and get, Colonel Sanders didn't go out and give his recipe to everybody. He kept that shit secret. You see? That's endarkenment. He kept that shit hidden. Coca-Cola. You know? You can give out samples of your work, but you ain't got to give out everything. You ain't got to give out all your secrets. Keep some of that shit to yourself. Know what that is, you know? You ain't got to go out. You can share it with those who are ready, you know, for it. But, you know, in the world, you ain't got to give the world nothing. But we're out in the world and we want to help. We want to heal. We see people suffering and we want to help ease human suffering. Well, this is a great tool. Why? Because we've been empowered through our own suffering. We kept our soul in our own suffering where we could have sold our soul, trust and believe. I'll bet you a lot of ways. Wow, I'm going to think this way through it before I put this philosophy out all the way. But I'll say this. Most of the time when people are going through difficult times and struggles, there's a moment where they could just sell their soul to get out of that struggle. I know it happened with me. I went back to doing a job I hated. And my soul was just being crushed little by little each day in the way, and I had to break free of that. But that situation strengthened my soul again. It's all empowerment. It's all God. It's all part of God's plan and purpose. It's all the great event. It's all perfection. It's all truth. But you have to understand it. You can't just be making excuses to do whatever you want. That's the fallacy. And when you get to the soul force and the soul power, there's no way, like it's not easy to get to. But once we get to it and things start happening, it's something we have to earn. You see, there's a lot of enlightenment and false enlightenment by people who didn't earn it, and they're just passing on something they heard to make a fast buck. But what I'm talking about, you got to earn it. You have to earn it. Pai Mei, the Kung Fu with, what's her name? Uma Thurman's character in Kill Bill. You know, she had to earn that. For him to teach her, she had to earn all of her strength. For her to break free of the ground, of the grave, she had to earn that. It wasn't just given to her. She had to earn it. And that's something key right here, my nobility. When we start talking about truth, and we start talking about perfection, and we start talking about insight and soul force, you got to earn it. Yeah, you're born with the soul. But like the real spiritual nature, the real spiritual gifts, the real spiritual insights, you got to earn those. And I'm talking on a deep level here, you know, for anybody who's just like, if this is their first message from the Minista. But the thing is, like, a lot of what's being said is being hidden from those who aren't ready for it. I know that. I put that prayer and that intention out there. If I say anything that could hurt anybody where they're at in their walk, may it just remain hidden until they're ready for it. You know? Oh, wow. And there's things hidden in our environment that God is waiting to reveal to us right now. We got to earn it. And that's where we put in something like a divine performance. That's where we put in practicing and living the H law. You know, that's where we put in perform charity and have good character out and put our best foot forward and ask for forgiveness and forgive others, you know. That's how we earn this. And when we earn it, we understand its value. And now earning our soul, we're born with the soul. But knowing the ability to share the light, to express the soul force, to express the energy out. That takes time. It's earned by good deeds, but it's not earned like that. It's earned by commitment and dedication and faith and trial and error and making mistakes. Don't be afraid to make those mistakes. I'll tell you, this soul force energy, this solar plexus energy that I'm talking about right here tonight, it's the whole body. It's the whole, you can feel it from wherever. Tonight I was just really feeling it from here. And it makes a lot of sense because this is where, like, we attach, this is where we communicate with other beings for real. This is like this, the magnetic field from this part of our body. Our heart's a magnetic field, but it's like right here. Wow, it's so powerful coming from our solar plexus. So that's it, my nobility. Go forward this week, and what we say next week is the mind is a weapon. We touched on that a little bit, so I already see next week it's going to be a very deep lesson. The mind is a weapon. Had one way back a year and a half ago called Spiritual Self-Defense. You might want to go back and check out. I might go back and look at that one this week and see what we talked about there. But life is wonderful. It's just to be lived. It's to be experienced. A lot of craziness is happening in Earth right now. A lot of people have sold their souls for just a little piece of the world, you know. And it doesn't profit a man to gain the whole world to lose his soul, let alone lose his soul for just a piece of the world. So my nobility, take the value of your soul back. If you've already taken the value of your soul back, retain that soul force, overstand the value, receive the gift of the presence of our soul, of your soul force, of your soul sonic force. That's hip hop. It's funny, like I just close with that. Like this energy right here, this is hip hop right here. Hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop. Like look at that. Like hip hop. Like right here. When I used to, I remember when I was first on tour with the teacher, and I'd be meeting like Herc or Busy Bee or Kaz or, going to, Cedric and Cedar and going in the Bronx and all this back in 2005, I would get this tingly feeling in my solar plexus right here. And every time I'd feel that, I'd say, that's a feeling I don't want to go away. And at the roundtable discussion, when the teacher was asking Herc why he did it, what motivated him to throw these jams for the kids and to become, really a figurehead and a leader of his community at that time, to inspire younger kids than him to come up under what eventually was born into hip-hop culture. And he said, I just wanted everybody to feel as good inside about it themselves as I did. And man, I heard that. And when I went out on tour for the Gospel of Hip Hop tour, that was the story. Thank you, God. I wanted to close with that tour with Endarkenment. When I went out on that tour, that was the feeling I was starting to feel. And I remember telling the teacher, I was like, teacher, I just get this feeling like right here. It feels so good. He's like, Zin, you got to learn to protect that feeling. He's like, that's real. That's hip hop. That's like, he's like, what you're feeling is you're waking up to your true self now, your true nature now. He's like, and you want to learn to keep that protected. And remember, he didn't have a Gospel of Hip Hop to hand me. He had his copy from Kinko's, and he was still writing it on his computer. So we did a little tour in Colorado, like 4 or 5 dates. I came back to Los Angeles, took the name Zin Uru, and then our first stop was at the Red Devil Lounge, a great sound system there in San Francisco, California, up in the Bay Area. And we did a show there. Oh no, we left there and then we went up to Oregon, and then up in Oregon. One morning, we were checking out the hotel, and Simone said, hey, the teacher wants to meet all of us over across the street there. There's a lake. So we went across the street, and he's sitting underneath a tree. The teacher's sitting under the Bodhi tree, right? And he's got his Kinko's copy of the Gospel of Hip Hop. And so we all sit down, and there's like 9, 10, 11 of us, maybe, I don't know. There's like a bunch of us there. I'd have to count in my head. We're sitting there as the students. This is the tour that we're about to embark. We're going around the whole United States for 3 months. None of us have experienced it. I'm given the elevator version of this, the brief synopsis. We had a whole tour plan that got canceled. The tour manager at the time had stole a bunch of money. It was a mess. And so teacher was like, let me prove my teachings work. Let me prove that this works. I know how to give a divine performance. I'm going to take a group of people who've never been on tour before. Me and Simone will take them to tour the United States for 3 months. We'll build the tour as we go along. He told me, Zin, this is the last time you'll have empty pockets. He showed me his empty pockets. In a month, he said, your pockets will be overflowing with money, which they were. So we're sitting underneath that tree, and I had just told him I was an MC, told him about that feeling I was feeling right here. He told me to protect that, and so he opened up the Gospel of Hip Hop to a very early version of Endarkenment, and he taught Endarkenment to us. That's the first lesson I ever received directly from the Gospel of Hip Hop at that time. Especially as his apprentice, as his student. He read a few when we were back on Hollywood Boulevard, but he was teaching a lot about hip hop and culture and some basic metaphysics to us then. So we're sitting there in this park, and he's underneath the tree, and we're all sitting there, and he's teaching us Endarkenment, and he asked us all who we are and what we are. I remember I said I'm an MC, and hopefully he still has that old copy of the Gospel of Hip Hop where he had our names and who we are. And so he taught us these techniques, and so we were going out on the tour, and sure enough, it was happening, But we mastermind that situation because of the teachings and because of Endarkenment, and we went and did 3 months, and nobody got injured, nobody got arrested. That would be a whole other message from the Minista. It'd be part of my book, talking about the miracles that were witnessed there. But, at any time, I know for myself, at any time had I given in to the pressures of the situation, the attacks, the demons coming to attack you in that situation. Had I not been empowered through that lesson of endarkenment, I don't know how I would have made it through there. But see, God prepared us ahead of time. Teacher prepared us ahead of time. God prepared teacher ahead of time with the words to say for his students. And so we went and we toured the whole United States there. And it was magnificent. It was wonderful. It was a life-transforming, life-changing situation that I've never stopped. Like I've never stopped the Gospel of Hip Hop tour since I set foot in it. I've never stopped. Every week, every day of every week, I've never stopped. Ask around. Yeah, I've had to take care of family. Yeah, I've had to do things just like all of us. But there's always time, for this work. There was always space for this work because I believe in it, because it's me, it's because it's who I am. And it's who you are. Not everybody who's watching this, some people are just receiving from this. Other people have different things that God's placed on their heart and work to do. There's no judgment here. None of that. But for some of us, the temple of hip hop and that work, or the gospel of hip hop, becomes the work, which is really not even about the temple or the book. It becomes about hip hop itself and the preservation of hip hop itself and the preservation of intelligent movement and the preservation of that soul force and that feeling. This is the jewel. This is the crown jewel of the hip hop experience, of the hip hop spiritual experience. Is that soul sonic force is getting that feeling that Hurt felt inside and he wanted everyone else to feel. So feel me, my nobility. I know you feel it. You know what I'm talking about. That feeling is the most valuable thing in earth. That force, that soul force, that energy is the most valuable thing in earth. They know it. God knows it. So let's us start walking around now that we know it and know our value, know our worth, know who we are. We are infinite, whole. We are a wholly integrated people, have an omnipresent power. And there it is, my nobility, going forward this week in health, love, awareness, and wealth, peace, and prosperity. And there it is. Hey!